Our moderator this morning is going to be H. Christine Richards, who is in the energy practice, managing consultant at Navigant.
Digitization is happening all over the place. I think we saw that this morning. You know, it's enabling all these things across infrastructure, you know, new business models, people and how they're engaging and interacting with communities and their environments, and buildings are no exception. Within Navigant research, we found that, you know, the spending on intelligent buildings is going to grow from about $20 billion globally in 2019 to about $60 billion in 2027. So huge opportunities around intelligent buildings, and we really want to dissect that today, looking at, you know, some of the technology pieces as well as some of the people aspects of intelligent buildings. So I have a great panel here with me this afternoon to dive into these areas. And what I want to do is just go down the row here, you know, have each of our panelists introduce themselves, talk a little bit about their role in intelligent buildings, and I'd also love to hear how you got involved in the intelligent building space. You know, most people don't grow up wanting to be in intelligent buildings, so it'd be great to hear a little bit about that too. So Sarah,
Awesome.
Let's start with you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Sara Dagnan, and I lead customer success and operations at Lucid. What does that actually mean? That means that I work with our customers. I work with all of our customers to partner with them through implementation, onboarding, training, make sure they really understand their platform, make sure they understand how to drive maximum value from their platform, and then hopefully they renew with us and they become a lifelong customer. So for me, maybe I did dream of being part of intelligent buildings my whole life. I actually started as a structural engineer, so I used to design buildings, and I loved it. But I felt like I wanted a little bit more. I also felt drawn, maybe because I was in the Bay Area, to technology, and I felt like there were smarter ways to do things and smarter ways to track things, and so I've always loved data. I've loved big data. And so for me, working at Lucid, which is a SaaS-based analytics platform specifically for optimizing building performance, it's that perfect intersection. I get to geek out with building owners and operators and think about buildings, but I also get to marry that with data, making really smart analytic-based decisions. So for me, I think intelligent buildings are really fun and interesting, and yeah, I'm excited to be here today and with the rest of the panelists.
Excellent. Erica, how about you?
Sure. So hi, I'm Erica Hughes. I'm with Siemens. I'm an enterprise account exec with Siemens Smart Infrastructure. So I've been with Siemens for about 14 years. So it seems like 17, but it's been 14 years. And with my role and responsibilities, I really support global customers headquartered in North America with total energy management. So anywhere from how a customer is looking to procure their energy and manage it to support cost management, cost reduction, which ties into a lot of producing their energy. So on-site generation through our distributed energy solutions. And then working with a customer more holistically on the demand side to be able to reduce their consumption load. That's also tied into their sustainability and carbon management goals and objectives. So it's a really fun place to work at Siemens. So with our smart infrastructure business operating unit, I mean, we're all about disseminating a building, bringing it to life, and giving it a heartbeat so that we're connecting the people to the buildings and the buildings to the people, so that then from there, we're leveraging all the data components from an asset within a building to what the occupants are really feeling, and bringing that to life so that we can not only support occupancy comfort that's going to reduce employee turnover rates, increase operational performance of those employees, but it's also going to really allow us to take our businesses to the next level. So it's really exciting for me to support customers in achieving those goals. And for me, so I started in the energy industry really in our operations group, so more on the supply side aspect, and I just really fell in love with the customers. I liked how energy was always changing and dynamic. And then from there, I just sort of grew because I was like, I really want to support the customer. They mean the world to me, and Siemens is a great company to work with and grow for. So that's why I'm here for 14 years and hopefully another 20 or 30.
Excellent. Excellent. Great to have you here, Erica.
Thank you.
Dan,
Great.
how about you?
Yeah, I'm Dan Fry. I'm president of THG Energy Solutions. We're in Austin and Tulsa. And my background is in the energy marketing, trading, and retail side of the business. I grew up in that side of the business from the 1980s on, and so sold and marketed natural gas and electricity to large commercial industrial accounts. And one of the things that I noticed as I was in that space was that although the commodity piece was brutal from a competitive standpoint, and that most parties were able to really drive all of the value toward making sure that they've got commodity purchases nailed down, the energy efficiency and the data management side of the business were things that had great opportunities for incremental savings. But the reason that most companies weren't taking full advantage of that was that the data aspect of it was really hard. So what we've tried to do at THG is to partner with energy procurement, supply, utility folks that want to embed energy management and demand management into their overall offerings, and to partner with people in the industry. So we've got about 35 private label partners. These would be utilities, retail electric providers, retail gas providers, energy consultants that want to try to get their arms around data for their customers and turn that into actionable information. And the thing that kind of got me started in this was realizing how difficult it was even for some of our biggest customers. And the enterprise solutions were really difficult for people to get their arms around their data. You see that commercial, I always laugh. My wife always looks at me like, what are you laughing at? And it's this IBM Smarter Planet commercial. Have you seen that commercial? It's like, shows all these buildings, and we've got this smart planet, and we've got a really dumb planet right now. I think that, and I guess I'm grateful because, if we had a smart planet, I wouldn't have a job. But Urginet is one example. They integrate with, I forget how many now, it's 60,000 utilities or whatever. We integrate at THG with about 1,500 utilities, and it's 1,500 silos of data. So, it's getting our arms around this data and making it actionable for customers and buildings and facilities, and then being able to create savings opportunities through managing their demand. That's really where we try to focus our value proposition.
Excellent. And I love that you said it, Dan, the dumb planet. But it seems like there's really this opportunity for growth, right? And I think things have really come a long way from even the past 10 to 15 years in terms of increasing that intelligence. But a lot of it is still growing. So what I wanted to ask each of our panelists is to talk about that evolution of technology. What's really the biggest change that you've seen over the course of your careers in terms of this growing intelligence, new products and services? What's been the biggest change you've seen around intelligent buildings that you feel like could really be transformational? And Erica, how about you?
All right.
Calling you first.
Perfect. I like it. So for me, whenever I think back to whenever I was first starting out my career at Siemens, most customers were really, just wanting to sort of understand what their cost and consumption was within a building. So, this is going back nearly 14 years ago. And they were just looking more of that utility bill management type provider, wanting to collect their data, get an understanding of what their buildings are consuming. And then, from there, it sort of evolved a little bit more on how can I really start reducing costs, because they had all these corporate mandates of cost reduction. And then from there, we sort of saw sustainability take an uptick. And so then we started expanding on from the foundational utility bill management data to applying your CO2 emissions and then reporting for internal and external requirements. And then, it sort of taken off on, we don't want to do anything more manual. So we really saw a lot of improvements in technology, and that's where, at least for Siemens, we partnered up with Urginet, nearly, I think, 9-10 years ago to help support in the automation aspect of data. Not only from an efficiency standpoint, but from a data integrity standpoint, because any time that you can go from a manual collection of data and input for internal, external reporting to automated fashion that Urginet has one of the most robust platforms to utilize, it's going to overall support not only operational efficiencies from a cost competitiveness standpoint, but quite honestly, data integrity. So, and then from there, it's just been growing and evolving. So we've got smart buildings that everybody's wanting, and that sort of evolved out into like the building automation space and automation systems being installed, and then tying that together to different analytics and reporting. So I'm excited to see where it goes. So that's why I like what I do, because it's always changing every day.
Yeah, I mean, that automation, integration of the data and analytics, yeah, it's definitely something that's evolving. Now, Dan, how about you? What are you really seeing as maybe some of the key changes?
So we try to be broad in our approach around things, and I hearken back to a school board gentleman I was talking to, and I was talking about the need to try to do some building automation, and he said, well, last big building automation effort we had was around that Y2K thing, and that didn't go very well, and I'm trying, okay, that was 19 years ago, but so one of the challenges around any kind of smart building integration is that you've got this legacy equipment, and you may have buildings and facilities with no building solution. They're all they've got HVAC that's manually cycled, and they've got an old thermostat, and there's nothing about that that's integrated. And then you've got parties that are willing to go and spend a lot of money to do open architecture, smart grid solutions. But what is common is that almost everybody has a utility bill, and they're probably not utilizing just the basic value of what information can be extracted from that bill. They're probably not doing it very efficiently in terms of processing that data and disseminating it and using it across their organization. So we always try to start with just, along with what the Urginet approach is, what's the utility bill? And there may be a grade school, somewhere, and they're never going to do anything beyond just collect their monthly utility data. There's no value proposition that says we're not going to upgrade anything. We don't have money to buy a school lunch. We're not going to buy a new building system. So for those people, there's an entry level of benchmarking and energy efficiency and Energy Star type programs that can be a solution and can start to solve some of the problems at the most basic level. And you can scale from there. You can get to smart meter integration and real-time energy management and active demand management as the size of the building and the energy spend and the opportunities increase. So we think that trying to position that to address all of the different types and sizes and appetites, that's going to be one of the big challenges. Urginet's a great partner in helping us do that.
I really like how you talked about, Dan, the existing infrastructure, this legacy infrastructure, buildings. I'm a big fan of historic preservation, and buildings from the 1900s or even the 1970s. They just don't have that infrastructure in place. And I really like how you talk about finding that common ground, right? Bringing together all these disparate resources around something like energy, to get that conversation going no matter where people are at. Now, Sarah, how about you? How are you seeing some of the evolution of products and services?
Yeah, I think how I think about it is I feel like maybe 10 years ago, the push was, how are we have no data. You know, we basically, we have these systems, they're great, you know, maybe they're new, maybe they're old. We have a building engineer who knows these systems, and that's how we do it. And then there was a big push for data. We need data, we need data, we need data, we need, you know, PG&E rolled out a huge smart meter. They were one of the first, and it was actually met with a lot of backlash because they were like, why do you need data? And everyone was like, we need data, we need data. And then I feel like we entered this realm of, what do we do with all the data? There's so much data. You know, that's a lot of, I talk to customers and they're like, we have so much data. I don't know what to do with the data. And I feel like now we're turning to, okay, there are platforms that can take in all this data and can help you make smart decisions and can help you visualize, can help you communicate maybe technical concepts to non-technical people. Okay, that's great. But now what I'm being asked a lot for, and I bet the two of you are as well, is, okay, Sarah, I don't want to look at this dashboard every day. I want it to tell me what to do. I want there to be a, hey, your schedule is on at such and such building, go send someone out there. Or even better, have it connect to my work order system and have that go directly to someone to send them out to go check on a lighting schedule, right? So I feel like we've overcome data in a lot of ways, not everywhere, but I do feel like we've overcome the concept of data and too much data and how do we synthesize and visualize data. And I feel like that next piece is behavioral science. It's how do we proactively alert someone, or how do we just get right into our work order system? Because at the end of the day, as I think you all feel, is that at the end of the day, when you're optimizing a building or trying to make people in a building happy, you need people to perform those services, right? Like, as smart as these buildings are going to be, you still need staff to be running through the buildings and making sure that different things are happening, right? And so how do you get that person on their cell phone or, you know, quickly alerted and there proactively to solve the problem? And I think that's where I think the excitement is right now, is how do you start leveraging all the data that we have to start making those proactive alerts and using that behavioral science.
I really like that around, you know, I mean, the title of this panel is around people first, right? So we've talked about all this technology and infrastructure, but it's really about, you know, people that are living and working in these buildings and running these buildings.
Yep.
So I think it'd be great to hear from each of you, you know, a case study or a story of what you're seeing around, you know, really understanding people's needs within buildings, you know, and how they've been, you know, building operators have been able to optimize for that, right? You know, what are some of the big customer demands that you're seeing, and what's really driving some of the innovation in intelligent buildings? Dan, I'll go down to you.
So, you know, there's a lot of excitement in the energy business, and you all can sense it, and you know, you see this energy transition or this energy disruption, and you know, all of the issues around climate science and sustainability, and we feel like we're looking at this huge hill that we've got to climb. And one of the things that is really interesting is how the grid is going to be transformed by distributed energy, solar, storage, and it's literally going to turn the industry on its head. Electrification of things are going to turn the industry on their heads. And some of that is starting in California, because that's where a lot of solar and battery and other solutions are actually getting, you know, imposed on the grid. And you're starting to see the impacts of that through things like negative pricing and you know, these substations that are being overrun with solar power at noon, and the duck curve that everybody reads about. And so, you know, you see a lot of, and one of the best solutions for all of that is around demand response and being able to deploy real-time demand response. And in California, we've partnered with the University of California, several of their campuses, to work with PG&E around what is their XSP program, which is excess supply. So, you know, during certain parts of the day, they've got so much renewable power coming on the grid that they've got to offload it. And so they're actually paying customers in a pilot program to consume excess power during certain parts of the day, and what are those incentives? So we've worked with PG&E around automation of that. Some of the University of California campuses are, pre-cooling strategies, working with their inverters, a lot of different things. But, although the regulatory model in California will never transfer to other places in the country like Texas or PJM, the problems that they're dealing with on the grid are going to translate. And you can see it moving east as more solar comes on and more renewables. And so balancing that in real time and actually at a distributed level is going to be one of the challenges that the industry's got to get their arms around. So we're excited about what we're doing in California, both excess and load reduction around real-time integration and demand management. So those are things that we're excited about and that we see impacting building and commercial owners everywhere. I would challenge anybody to look at the rates of return and the investment that demand response can create and try to replicate that with other things. We're seeing tremendous opportunities for energy savings, ROI, and a very small investment can yield significant results on the demand side of your business. Something that's been ignored relative to overall energy efficiency, and it's really time to start to look at that across a lot of different commercial spaces.
So it's really looking, I think it's interesting because it's really looking beyond kind of the four walls of a building, and how it really starts to connect to, the broader community. So I think those are definitely great points. Now, I'm gonna ask Sara and Erica for your perspectives, but I want to, get to a couple audience questions. So, as they're going through, be thinking about something else besides all that cobbler you ate, and I'd love to get in a question or two. So Sara, how about you?
Yeah.
How are you seeing that people piece?
Yeah, I'll try to be quick because I know there's going to be tons of questions. So I look at it actually in two ways. I work with customers, right? And so part of that means, though, that I also typically in an office have the biggest team. So not only do I need to make sure that my customers are happy and they're taking care of their occupants, I also have to make sure that my occupants are happy. So I actually think about what we do in both of those, right? How I lead my team and then also how I help my customers. And so a case study, I know you asked about a case study. So we worked with Turner Construction, and they were trying to do two things. Number one is they wanted to make sure that their potential customers knew that they were passionate about sustainability and that they actually lived what they were talking about. It wasn't just a purpose statement on their website. They also wanted their employees to feel that purpose and that mission statement. And I think we probably have all read all of these articles about how what keeps people in jobs, especially in a really hot job market that we're all in right now, is purpose. They want to feel a purpose. They want to feel a connection to their company. And I think this really does all tie together, right? If you're, something that I'm very proud of that Lucid does is we have this concept of a storyboard, right? And it is literally just a board that tells a story about how the company is doing on sustainability and energy management practices. It can be whatever that customer wants it to be, but the powerful thing is that they have it in their lobby, right? So every day, both customers and employees can see, hey, look, we are actually saving energy. We are actually doing smart things in our buildings. And this is what our company believes in, and we're showing it right up here on a dashboard. And I'll just comment one final thing is they run a lot of competitions, a lot of our customers. And so they'll actually put office floors against each other to see who can save the most energy. And it is, I have heard it's like epic competition. It is serious business to win these competitions.
People are working in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. But let's all be honest. The dirty little secret of these competitions is that these habits persist. The person who is turning off their lights every day to win the competition, I guarantee they're still turning it off today, right? So it's a persistent habit. But I feel really strongly about people needing to connect to the purpose of their company and the mission statement. That's how you keep people in seats. And so I think that it's not just, am I comfortable with the temperature of the building? It's, am I passionate about what we're doing? And I think buildings and the built environment and energy management is all part of that story.
Yeah, I mean, that's how people experience, our experience here right now, right? It's all around buildings. Erica, how about you?
Yeah, so I'll keep it short and to the point too, so we can get to questions, because that's the fun part. So what I've really learned from customers and some of their case studies is very similar situation on the benchmarking and the competitiveness to drive results, and like really to foster a sense of a team orientation across different customers' facilities, is that they wanted to do the same thing, very much a dashboard concept. So we created dashboards that fostered consumption reduction, spend, CO2e emissions, and then we sort of benchmark all these different facilities together. And for that, the customer was able not only to help change the employee culture that they were having a challenge with on embracing change to become more of a sustainable and green company, but it was also, helping these people think differently. They maybe didn't think about, utilizing or turning off lights whenever they were walking out of the office, or keeping, the thermostat at 74 instead of, turning it down to 70. So, all these different little things that they started picking up, and then they were seeing that translate into results. And, at the end of the day, to start with the cultural change, they did things like, a pizza party.
Yeah.
For the facility or the office that, one for the quarter. And so that type of, a small, something that's not too costly for the company to do, but overall it helped foster that different type of mentality of change. And then those employees, ultimately, because they get in the habit of doing these best practices, it's going to translate to how they're interacting in their own personal lives as well. And that's going to, impact the overall economy as well and support a greener earth too. So
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love that competitive element. All right, question. You had plenty of time to think, to ponder. Yes.
Can you guys talk about a little bit on the ROI from the investments from builders, and how long, I guess, specifically relating to the time frame that they would see the ROI?
Yeah.
Who wants to tackle that? The ROI.
I can talk a little bit about it, just what we're trying to do to prepare for that, I guess. And buildings are, I always think about the Lake Wobegon quote, it's all our kids are above average, and if you ask any building manager, all their buildings are above average, and there's no quantitative way to push back on that. There is, but most people don't have it, right? So, what we try to do is create a toolkit and a benchmarking around Energy Star, because that is the cheapest, easiest, most ubiquitous solution. All of the ASHRAE and AEE people are developing, level 1, audit capabilities of their buildings and facilities. There's a group that's trying to make investor-ready building development a priority. So I think that, while we're looking at opportunities for solar and for batteries and for storage and things like that, that are long-term investments and are scaled to the capacity of the buildings, let's take the next year or so to get our data in line and to make sure that we understand, through an energy audit or a primary energy use survey, what has been done, what our benchmarking looks like. Energy Star is a great way to do that, so that I've done these lighting projects, I've done this efficiency project, I can benchmark that, I can look at what my buildings and facilities are on a energy per square foot basis, or whatever the component is that you can identify, and start to benchmark that. So
Oh, sorry. No, I just wanted to jump in just to make sure that we have enough time here. But
Right.
I really like that aspect of benchmarking, right? And
Right.
establishing, those targets to hit, because it is a longer term play, right? And there's still things to be accomplished. Now, Sarah, you had something you want to add around
I wanted
it?
to jump in on this, and to be clear, though, my kids are above average. I just want to note that. But this is actually this is an awesome question. I love this question. There is a study right now, and I will follow up with you. It's in my phone. I don't want to pull it out right now. But there was a study just recently done on implementing an energy management information system and what the return or what the savings that over 100 buildings, they had 100 buildings in the study. It wasn't done by Lucid, but I think some of our buildings were in that study, so this isn't a total shameless plug. But I can get you the website. But basically what the case study showed is that on average, in the first year of implementing an energy management information system, you save on average 4%, right, of your energy costs. And then the fascinating part of the study, I think that one, everyone's probably saying, well, yeah, duh, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, just go fix some schedules, et cetera. What was really awesome about it is that year 2, 3, and 4, those savings not only persisted, but actually increased. I believe, I might be misquoting if someone else has seen this study, but I'm happy to share it. I believe it was then jumped to about 7% in the next year, so a cumulative, +3, and then to 10 and 11% over the 4 years. And so if you're able to understand, your energy cost, and there's actually a calculator that you can access from my website, from the Lucid website. But if you actually put in your energy cost and you just use those numbers, 4%, 8%, 10%, 11%, and then you think about how much you're going to spend on an energy management information system, you can very quickly calculate an ROI. So it was a really super interesting case study that I encourage all of you to look at, just to see how you can calculate an ROI.
Excellent. Well, that was a great question. We are unfortunately out of time. There is a lot of topics and discussions that we can have. Do we still have more time? No? Yes? You're the MC. You're the one that's...
We could do one more question. Yeah.
One more... Oh, yes. Got enthusiastic question asker here. I just want to make sure we stay on track.
Thanks.
So.
I don't know if we have enough time, but can maybe each one of you quickly describe how you partner with Urginet and what kind of data you use, or what kind of data you get from them?
Sure. Want me to start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm with Siemens, and we've partnered with Urginet for 9-10 years now, and we leverage our relationship with Urginet to actually take their technology so that they're scraping the utility websites to actually interface that data in a flat file format into the Siemens proprietary bill management processing tool. So what that enables us to do is to roughly have about 63% of all of our customer bills sent over electronically. It doesn't require the 10 keying of that utility bill data into our system that supports the data quality and integrity. And then it goes and stops through to receive validation and audit.
Excellent.
Yeah, very similar. We use Urginet and it's amazingly about the same statistics. We get about 65% of our bills, monthly billings from them, and then we've got to go in and get the rest. Plus, if there's interval data or if there's sub-meter data or whatever other multi-source data is coming in, we've got to pull all that together as well.
Excellent. And Sarah, how about you?
Very, very similar to what Erica said. So we, our customers will provide us with their accounts, and then we work with Urginet to get all of the bill data, but also interval data. We were one of the people raising our hand for interval data too. And so then we ingest it into our platform.
Awesome. All right. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share all your insights around intelligent buildings today. We really appreciate it. Please join me in thanking our panel.